Great. Thanks for coming back. We're going to start off this section with talk about an IATSE union lawsuit.
Yeah, this is from ABC News. Stagehands Union and the state settle Indiana fair fines. Apparently what happened in 2011 during a Sugarland concert. You explained Sugarland to me.
Oh, they're a country duo.
Yeah, okay, country duo. At Indiana State Fair. They've got the big gigs going. Sorry, I make jokes, but 7 people died. There was a rigging accident and on the stage in high winds, and I guess a roof came down that was up from rigging and killed 7 people. So the Stagehands Union, I guess, paid $11,500 worth of a fine, and the state paid the rest. And that was the gist.
Well, actually, the article was about how the union didn't have to pay the fine, because their loophole was that they are providing employment, and they are not providing. They are not the employers. Was kind of their take. So it's interesting that, and by implementing a new training course into for their members and for apprentices who want to become members in the union, making it mandatory for certain training courses and the like, they were able to bypass paying the fine.
So it was all on the shoulders of the state then.
The shoulders of the state. Let's see. The sound company that owned the stage ended up paying a hefty penny.
Yeah.
And then the Indiana State Fair paid a smaller penny,
Right.
I believe. It was like $6,300 or
Like any lawsuit, they're
Like
all
any
trying
lawsuit.
to pass the buck to somebody
right. But I
else,
found it
yeah.
really interesting that this $11,500 fine completely just evaporated.
Yeah.
Novelty of the American legal system, I guess.
There you go.
There you go.
What do you think about that? Because, I mean, the whole concept of unions in the theatre industry is kind of foreign to me. So what are the responsibilities?
Well, I mean, for me, it's just a matter of who was getting that money to begin with.
Right.
I don't know who that money was going to, so I don't know who's losing it.
Right.
I think it is more important that we focus on the future and kind of problem aversion, and the training, and I guess that's important. But I don't know why these fines were placed if they're so easily kind of evaded.
Just by putting in training.
Just by putting in training.
Which they should have anyway, right?
Yeah, it's kind of arbitrary. Yeah. So, and I was unclear in the article as to who passed away, who got killed. If it was
There was a
concert
stagehand that was killed.
But was it only one stagehand, or was it a
What?
group of stagehands and mostly concert goers?
They only mentioned the one stagehand of the 7.
Right.
Actually, yeah. Oh.
So, and it was unclear also if it was because of unsafe conditions or because the job was done poorly, or.
Well, they mentioned the winds, so you got to figure, well, that's quote an act of God to a degree, but they everybody wants to put blame somewhere. So
I guess
it
so.
looks like it was a number of things.
Well, on the topic of lawsuits in the workplace,
Yeah.
there was an interesting article called "Unpaid Internships Must Be Destroyed."
Yeah.
By Matt Bors. And if you have a chance to check out Medium.com, I would look at this article.
I loved it. It
Because-
was done in comic strip form.
The way it was presented, presented entirely in comic strip format, was entertaining and compelling. It made you want to keep reading. I found this article obviously endlessly interesting because I do believe in unpaid internships. I've had one, but I don't. The one I had in high school, and it was for a nonprofit, and I was 16, and I still keep in touch with those people. So it actually did open some doors for me.
So, but that's a little different. It was for a nonprofit, so you weren't. They weren't making money off of your back.
No, they weren't. No, they really weren't. And it was for a theater company, and I'd been working for them. So I thought it was great. Every other internship I've had, though, I've been really fortunate. I've only taken paid internships, but this is a
It's big here in the States.
Yeah.
I mean, was the article saying 50% of
Yeah.
people,
And-
college grads, coming out to unpaid internships or something like that?
There was several statistics. One was that only 37% of unpaid internships lead to employment, as compared to maybe a 1 or 2% difference in not having an unpaid internship and just going straight into employment. And then the number of coming out of college, 50%
50%, yeah.
end up doing it. Yeah.
I mean, I really agreed with it in terms of the for-profit sector taking advantage of like the economic climate to,
Absolutely.
capitalize on the desire of young people to get experience.
The example they had, the
Exploiting them.
woman working for P. Diddy who
Yeah.
was suing him. Yeah.
Well, I think the counter argument, he made a brilliant counter argument. He said, some people would say, oh, but corporate entities would go bankrupt if they had to start paying all their interns. And it was like, well, there's nothing more American than filing for bankruptcy. I thought that was fantastic. But the article did touch on something important in that it's, for people who are taking on these unpaid internships, or you have to be in a certain financial position to be able to afford an unpaid internship. So it's really separating those who have from those who don't. And that's an issue, right? And I think, and I see the tendency, especially these days when jobs are so hard to come by, to want to take an unpaid internship, because I feel like I see all these things all the time for, you need 5 years experience, 3 to 5 years experience for an entry-level job.
Right.
So, when you see that, it gets discouraging, and what choice do you have but to take
Especially
this
coming
unpaid
right out of
internship?
school where
No experience.
Yeah, and if all you're doing is applying for jobs, at least you could say, oh, well, I'm working here, I'm interning while I look for something. I don't know.
Well, I'm with the article. I think it is exploitative.
Absolutely.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
should be done away with. And illegal, essentially, according to our labor acts. I liked the one thing the knock they made against Congress, because of course they have pages
The
and
pages,
unpaid interns in all politicians' offices have that, and they've just kind of stepped away from that issue.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Instead, they passed on opposite day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. So along that line, discussing job satisfaction, there was an article titled "Study: Poets, Painters, Performers Report High Job Satisfaction."
We've all chosen good career paths based on that alone. Well done.
Well done. The only issue I take with this article is all of the data was European.
Yeah. And they, that's the interesting thing. British people were just generally more unhappy, and what was it, Dutch? Was it in the Netherlands or Belgium? I forget. Switzerland. We're generally happier.
Yeah. I think Europeans in general just have sort of a different mentality towards work. It's much more of a work to live mentality and not a live to work mentality.
Sure.
When I was living there and I was telling someone that the average work week here for someone our age is probably between 60 and 80 hours a week, they couldn't believe it. They said, oh, I work full time. I work 30 hours a week. And I was like, what? You vacation. You vacation full time, 30 hours a week. So, anyway.
I would have been interested to see the figures from the United States for artists in terms of happiness. Because although they said that controlling for income, artists in Europe and the UK were still mostly happier, I thought it's interesting that the artists in Europe are happier than the ones in the UK, because there is generally more support. I mean, there's more support in the UK and Europe than America, but there's more support in Europe than the UK in terms of the government supporting artists. So even if they take out income, just that fact of like job security and just being in an environment where the arts are respected and fostered, I think would lead to higher job
The article addresses
satisfaction.
it's not just about job security, right? It was about making money, but it was really more about, she talked a lot about, I feel like, the flexibility.
Yeah. Being your own boss.
The empowerment, that
Making
comes
Making
with
your own
that.
hours.
Yeah.
It's a little different in the theater, but to a degree. I mean, neither you are from the U.S. Do we seem like happy people thus far?
Well,
The
for
artists
me,
and
yes.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have to say that.
I think so, but I mean, I do feel like it is a society that's more focused on like accumulating wealth and
Yeah.
possessions than like potentially the society I'm from. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but you know, people say, that makes you happier or it doesn't make you happier. And I don't know.
Well, time will tell.
Yeah. Well, I
Still
don't think
early
I'll
in
be-
your time here.
Don't think
so-
I'll be accumulating much wealth as an artist, but we'll see.
Not an artist at CMU.
No.
No.
All right, and with that, we end session 2.
Oh. That was a real gem, I'm sorry.